This is the Battle of Freiberg that was fought this past Wednesday. Basically, 6,900 Franco-Austrian figures battled 4,200 Prussian figures. The French and Austrians had basically 4,900 infantry and almost 2,000 cavalry. The Prussians had roughly 2,400 infantry and 1,800 cavalry. The game was fought in Freiberg, which was west of Dresden. The game was very interesting. We fought it over two tables. The Austrian Prussians were on one side and the French versus the Prussians was on another table. We started first with where the Austrians and the Prussians were facing each other because they had two massive cavalry charges that was starting the game. As you can see, in the first turn, the cavalry charges took up almost completely 9 feet of the table. The deciding point was that von Sedlitz, the Prussian commander, took 2 cuirassier regiments and hit the Austrian cavalry charge in the flank and in the rear. The other thing that von Sedlitz did, it was his direct command, was the fact that he attacked in very deep columns where the Austrians were just 2 ranks deep. This cavalry charge, this single cavalry charge, included over 2,100 figures. That's one of the biggest cavalry charges I've ever experienced in wargaming, as you can see. Well, the charge was quick, and actually just barely even hit contact, because with the Austrian left flank being enveloped and also hitting the rear, they all routed. And that caused the next guys to rout, and the next guys to rout. And then the Prussians, because they still had movement left, just followed on down the line. So eventually, all the Austrian cavalry routed. Now, you wonder, with the Austrians outnumbering the Prussians so much, why didn't they bring more of their force to bear in this cavalry attack? Because as you can see over here, they still had 6 cavalry regiments that were off the board in reserve that could have been used to cover that exposed flank. But they chose not to because they didn't want to risk it all in one big charge. Well, the Prussians did, and they won. Now, because of this first turn defeat, the French then withdrew, the rest of the Austrians withdrew, and that was the end of the battle, 1 turn. It was a lot of fun, but it was a lot of work to set all this up, and then it only lasts 1 turn because of a glorious charge. But being on the Prussian side, I don't have any complaints. You can also see that the Prussians still had a reserve of cavalry on the table to follow up. And that's one reason why the Austrians withdrew, because they didn't want their infantry and all to be attacked by that much cavalry that could flank them. The interesting thing about this was that the French barely outnumbered the Prussians on the other table, but they were in no mood. You can also see that there was a Grin's regiment ready to try to move through the woods to attack the Prussians. The Prussians had been here 3 days and were able to build fortifications in those 3 days, because like on this particular table of the two, they only had 6 infantry regiments and 12 battalions of grenadiers, and the Austrians could have, if they deployed them all, could have deployed 20 regiments of infantry to attack the Prussians. Of course, it doesn't matter when your cavalry gets out front and they all rout. Oh no. So, everybody pulled back after this. The French went north towards Hanover, and the Austrians went south towards Bohemia, southwest towards Bohemia. And Frederick withdrew back to Dresden because he has more threats coming from the Austrians in Silesia, and there's even a column of Austrians headed for Berlin. Thank you very much. This was a big cavalry battle, 2,000 plus figures. Thank you.